Hey there, it's Pete Checkley for Sample Library Review, and today I'm checking out something a little bit different. It's called Zone Matrix from composer, educator and tech-orientated musician Hagai Davidoff. In recent years, he's been developing his own professional Kontakt KSP add-ons, and Zone Matrix has taken him 2 years to complete. In essence, it is a performance tool that enables you to play multiple sample libraries simultaneously by organising them into powerful performance multis. The main key point is that Zone Matrix is not an instrumental library, it is a KSP add-on for Kontakt, and it's designed to create multi-instruments. The key features in a nutshell are you can trigger multiple instruments simultaneously across different key and velocity ranges, transpose instruments on the fly to create chords, intervals and textures, use the octaver to play massive chords and melodies, set fixed velocity values or shift velocities around, zone-dependent polyphony limiter, fine-tune your MIDI control using the built-in CC filter, mix your multi with the built-in multi-learnable mixer, Zone Matrix presets for swift recall, use 8 different independent key switch scenes for the ultimate performance, extensive MIDI learn functionality and hotkeys for ultimate workflow. If used inside a DAW, Zone Matrix can be used to control other VSTs. Now, the real important thing is this makes multis really accessible within the DAW, whether you're composing or live playing. And obviously, if you're not using it in the DAW, you can use it for incredibly expressive live playing from small ensembles to orchestras. The Zone Matrix website does not say specifically which version of Kontakt you need. For this video, I'm using the full version of Kontakt 5.8.1. and Zone Matrix normally sells for $80. The idea behind Zone Matrix is it's just going to speed up your workflow and create some really cool power multis. So I'm going to kick off by loading up Zone Matrix. So if you click on the KSP and go under User, go into Zone Matrix, and it will load for you. Okay, so we have it there, and you use the KSP just to sort of switch between the instruments you're using and Zone Matrix. So I'm going to build a really quick multi. Now there's nothing new here, just dragging and dropping in what you fancy. So I want pinhole ensemble, feeling a bit Spitfire today. Let's load the Archer ensemble as well, and I want some nice vocal effects from Heaviosity. So I'm going to go vocalize. Let's go vocalize 2. Let's get some pads, complex, and I'm going to load calming spirits. Okay, so these are all here. And if I just go back to the KSP, you'll notice you can collapse all these. And you've got a really nice workflow. So I can see the 3 instruments I'm using. And simply, if I light up Zone A, you can hear the pinhole ensemble. If I light up Zone B, let's get rid of A. Okay, you can hear the Archer ensemble and these lovely vocalized pads. Okay, works absolutely perfect. All right, so that took a couple of seconds just to set up, and that's a really basic multi. Now from here, all we need to do is select all 3 and we can play the multi we've just created. Okay, so that's really straightforward, and I know some of you probably thinking now, well, that's just a multi. Kontakt could do that anyway. Well, now I'm going to show you something that will completely blow everything out the water. With Zone Matrix, before we talk about each of these 4 pages, so the key, range, velocity, CC filter and mixers, which obviously are like the sort of power tools, I guess, to create these multis, you can also add third-party plugins inside Zone Matrix. So I'm going to add an Omnisphere really quickly into this multi. So Kontakt multis with third-party plugins, absolutely brilliant. I've switched to the DAW view, and really simply, first thing I need to do is add a Omnisphere, as that is the third-party plugin I would like to put in. So we load a really simple Omnisphere, and my computer normally does it in a couple of seconds. There we go. So Omnisphere 2. Now, what's really important, we have our 3 instruments already in here, so I'm just going to double click and create a new one. I'm going to call this Omnisphere, so I know it's there. And it's really important that it is on the MIDI channel A4, okay? And I've Omnisphere here. All I'm going to do, I'm just going to bring it down slightly, and I need to route it to that channel there. That's the thing. So if I click on the input transformer, click on local, let's bring this to the front if I was close Kontakt. I've already made a preset, as I'm going to be using this quite a lot, called channel filter, and it's actually not loaded, so you get to see me make a new one. If I was to click plus there, got to make sure that is on filter, and type will be channel, condition is unequal, and as I said, it's channel 4. We need to make sure the parameter is 4. Okay, got to turn it on, and that is all done. So if I close that, then all I've got to do here, all MIDI inputs, I just change that to the Zone Matrix channel. Now if I click on the record button, and obviously I need to make number 4 active. Actually it already is, so if I close that, we should get the nice lovely beep of Omnisphere. So that is in there, and all I need to do is change the patch to one of my favorites. So I want a really nice sort of sumptuous sound, so let's go for distant memories. Okay, close that, and then if I just activate all of these and use a mod wheel, here's our multi. Okay, so we have Omnisphere and 3 Kontakt instruments within Zone Matrix now. And for me, the ability to put third-party plugins also, well, not also, instantly makes this an instant buy for me. But I'm going to talk about what else you could do with Zone Matrix, because that is just the scratching the surface. Now, to start off, I'm going to go straight into the mixer. And the reason being, I want everything to sound great as it gets played back. So I've actually panned the different instruments to the left and right, and the cool thing is if you just want to isolate an instrument, you just have to turn the other ones off. So there's a pinhole ensemble slightly to the left, and I've adjusted the levels ever so slightly. I wanted to bring the Omnisphere pad up. Okay, so I am using the mod wheel. Yet I also have a little system where I can use the expression as well, the CC11. So that's the mixer, really straightforward. Now, I've talked about workflow. Just first thing, every time you create something, you can save it. So you just click on it, save it as a preset, and you can reload it next time. So you don't have to do this every single time. I'll pop back to the mixer a little bit later in the video to show you some really cool shortcuts. So as usual, I'm going to just play a short demo using just one instance of Zone Matrix, just so you get a feel for how it works. So the key range is where Zone Matrix starts to gain its power, as it were. So I was going to show you very, very quickly. Now, you can assign, so if I just use, let's just use the pinhole. Actually, we use the Aperture Ensemble. Okay, so we can hear, go even lower. Got a massive amount of range. Now if you want to limit only where you play that, all you have to do is just grab where you want it to be and just slide around. So now I've narrowed it down. If I play right at the top, it doesn't work. So it only plays where I've set it to, okay? And that's based on an 88 keyboard. So really easy, and then just double click on it. There's a little shortcut. Is it right click? Sorry, it's control click. I'm learning the shortcuts very, very speedily. And I've got the whole range again. I really am sticking with that D minor. So that's the key range, really, really simply. Now here you have the polyphonic mode, so how many notes do you want to play at the same time? Okay, so it is an ensemble patch, but I've set it now, it will only play one at a time. And that's really handy for building up chords using the transposition, which I'm going to show you now. If I want to just work with fives, so 5 notes, that's exactly how you do the 5 notes. So moving forwards, I'm going to keep it on infinity as we are using ensemble patches at the moment. And then the transposition is absolutely great. So I'm just going to play a D. And then just move up in semitones. But the great thing is you can then use those to create really, really quick harmonies on the fly. Okay, and then you can change the octave as well that these are played in. So you can go 1 octave higher. Okay, 2 octaves. 3. Okay, and you can hear it builds the effect. So you have, first of all, your single note. And then it's going to play 2 octaves. So 2 notes, but 1 octave apart. So that's 3 notes. And there's 4. Okay, so the key range, really, really useful. And if I put it together, in fact, I want to slightly change my pad. So I'm going to leave the aperture to be, yeah, we're going to go with 1. No, go with a 5th, sorry. Yeah, so we've got 5th higher to give some harmony. And I've set the pinhole to play an octave higher. So we get this really sumptuous multi. And I'm going to use the foot pedal as well as the mod wheel. So it sounds like this. Okay, so that's my little technique. I use a foot pedal to control CC11 just to get more control. As I said at the start of the video, the whole point about Zone Matrix is to speed up your workflow. So the creators have put in these really cool shortcuts. Now, if I just hold down Shift, I can move by an octave. So of course you can drag up and down, but if you just want to be really quick, you can do that. And anytime you want to reset anything, just hold over it, hold Control and Control click, and it will go back to as it was. And then if I want to go up an octave really quickly, hold Shift again, and you can transpose up an octave. So I've used that octave, and I've got this amount of that many voices, and that's where I'm at. So I don't like that anymore. I'm just going to press Control click, it goes back to normal. And the other really easy thing you can do, if you alt click over it, or be in MIDI learn mode, you play the lowest key and then the highest key, and that sets your playable range. Okay, really straightforward, but the more you use Zone Matrix, the quicker you'll be using these shortcuts. So speaking of really handy shortcuts, I'm going to go back to the mixer. And again, if you use Shift click, you can fine tune the pan, or you can do the same on the volume. Okay, if you do Control click, it will put it back to normal, back to center. So I go back to where I was. And if you alt click, you can MIDI learn. So let's say you want to assign that to a CC. You've alt clicked, you move whatever you want. So I'll stick it on CC15. That's right in front of me, and now I can use CC15 to control the pan automation. You can do the same for the volume. So I'm going to put that on CC16, and now I've got a volume fader right in front of me. So those sort of things are really useful to have. You have all this control. It saves loads of time and automation. And the last thing, they thought of everything. You can put the name of the instrument in. Okay, so you can't type obviously, because that will set my DAW going, but I'm just going to write in pinhole because that's what I'm using. Okay, and then just press exit, and there it is. And you can assign labels to all the instruments. So you can see now, as we go further into Zone Matrix, it's starting to unravel as a very powerful tool. And the last thing before we move away from the key range, you can set all these different scenes up, and obviously you can load and save them at the top, and you can use key switches to change between different scenes, and you can also use MIDI information to change with the program change function. So straight away, you know, we've got the amount of voices we want, we've got transposition, and we have different octaves, key range. You can set instruments into different areas of the keyboard. Yeah, so the power is starting to become immense. But let's move further forwards. Okay, so we're going to move on and look at the velocity page. Now, the velocity page has very similar shortcuts and works in a very similar way to the key range page. But it's really important that to show this off, I'm going to change, let's say, the aperture ensemble. So if you just click to expand the instrument, I'm going to change that to a spiccato. And obviously, I'll just isolate that. Okay. Okay, lovely. Just in the mixer, I'll bring that up. Okay, so you're going to hear how this velocity works. Now, you can change the minimum value by dragging the value up, and the maximum by dragging it down. So, depending how I play the key, if I play really lightly, nothing. If I play really hard, excuse the tapping on the keyboard, there's nothing there, so I've changed the range. Now again, control click to reset, and you can press shift click and down to go in increments of 10, and back up, and same that way. Okay, and you can also do the alt and play. That's going to be my minimum, that's going to be my maximum. There's my velocity range. Okay, now the next part is a shift, and the shift is really interesting for well, it depends on the controller you're using. So sometimes they are more velocity sensitive than others. So you can set a value above what you play or below what you play. So if I'm on 0, okay, so I want to go higher. So that's really jumped out at me. So I'm going to just bring the mixer down. And the controller I'm using is very velocity sensitive. Okay, so it does mean I don't have to hammer my keyboard to get a loud enough response. And in a similar way, if it's going the wrong way, you can bring it down. So you can probably hear a lot of key noise there, but that is exactly how that is done. Now if I control click, it goes back to normal. See, these shortcuts get really intuitive. And then if you want to just fix your velocity so everything plays exactly the same. Okay, so really lightly, really hard, it's all going to come out the same. Okay, so that is the velocity, and that's a really useful tool. Now, the reason this slider is really great is, depending what you're playing, you do not have to hear all the instruments all the time. So you might decide, right, I only want the high string layer to come in at softer velocities, but when I'm really going for it, I don't want to hear that layer. So we're actually going to try that at softer velocity. So let's bring that down. In fact, I'm going to use, actually no, we will have that playing a higher velocity. So that's our range. Now if I bring everything back up and play softly, and then okay, so my rhythm was absolutely appalling there, but you get the idea. It's, I want that there, but at the moment all I want to do is just play nice soft pads. Maybe I want to okay, so my left hand was playing a pad and my right hand was playing the sort of string line. Let's try that again, a little bit quieter on the pad. Okay, and I might decide, well, I don't want Omnisphere to play at that point, so I'm just going to get rid of Omnisphere on the higher ones. And then obviously change chords with your left hand, and that's how you go. So it's a really, really useful way of bringing instruments in and out. Similarly, in a similar fashion, there we go, you can do this with the key range. So you can decide you only want the strings to be heard towards the top end. Now this is where the shortcuts really do come in handy. It's roughly around there, isn't it? So... oops. Okay, so and you can arrange all your instruments to sort of play by velocity or by area of your MIDI controller. So yeah, really, really powerful tool. And again, can't stress this enough, but as soon as you've got a configuration you like, you can save it and bring it up any other time you want to. So back to my shortcuts and undoing everything, and yeah, we're back to where we started. So the final page is the CC filter, Now, the CC filter page will stop any MIDI information going to that layer or that instrument. So, for example, I've put the arpeggio ensemble back onto a long patch. Okay, and I've highlighted it down below so you can see the mod wheel moving. Now, going from left to right, you have the mod wheel, pitch bend, sustain, aftertouch, foot switch, foot control, and 2 user assign CCs. So in the mixer, you may have assigned the volume, for example. I did it to CC 16, I think. And if you just click on them, so I'm going to click on the mod wheel, I'm moving the mod wheel up and down, but it's not working. Okay, and then same for pitch bend. So if I move the pitch bend, doesn't move at all. And you could do this for all of the assigned CCs for that layer. So that concludes my walkthrough of Zone Matrix. Now, I've spent several hours with this, and I have to admit the shortcuts are becoming second nature to me now, and the workflow, it just gets quicker and quicker and quicker. And I think the best way to describe it is you do make power multis. So obviously you can set the texture by the amount of voices, you can transpose to create harmonies, make them really lush by adding octaves, and then you can assign how you're going to trigger these instruments. Could it be key range, could it be velocity? Let's say you don't want the mod wheel on some of them, or the pitch bend to be affected. The sky is the limit. So any of your Kontakt instruments can go in to Zone Matrix and, like I say, create these power multis. But the biggest feature for me is you can have third-party instruments like Omnisphere, which is the example I used today, within a Kontakt multi. So that opens a whole new world of possibility. For me, that makes Zone Matrix completely worth the price of admission. But I have to say, I'll be using this more and more and more, and I'll be getting quicker. I'll be using the presets, saving my own, loading them up when I start a new session. And I could just see this being a really valuable tool. Has this sped up my workflow? Well, to create a multi like that within one instance of Kontakt, I would certainly say yes. The ability to obviously change all the parameters, you can obviously mix within the instrument, so you just pan everything. If you're doing orchestral work, you can pan it like an orchestra. If you're doing sort of TV work, electronic work, you can just move everything and mix it completely in the track. I have to admit, I am really, really impressed with this piece of software. It's a really valuable extension of Kontakt. So my final thoughts, obviously I've lavished praise all over Zone Matrix so far. Who's it for? Well, it's for anyone who's composing really, really quickly. It is just a massive time saver. And the great thing is, if you feel like you're a little bit bored of your instruments or using the same old timbres, just start experimenting and throw different instruments into your multis and see what you can come out with. I'd really, really urge you to check out the demos on the website or on YouTube, and there's some really, really cool stuff going on with Zone Matrix. I've shown one possibility, but like I say, that's not even scratch the surface of the kinds of sounds you can get out of Zone Matrix. Thank you so much for checking out my first look of Zone Matrix by HD Instruments. If you like what you saw, please leave a comment down below and let us know how you'd use this in your workflow and what you thought was really good about Zone Matrix. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to our channel on YouTube and also check out our other videos. Once you've done that, pop over to samplelibraryreview.com and check out all the latest and greatest in virtual instruments. Have a fantastic day and take care.